the movie version of the hit Broadway play that is based on the novel of the same name, which is a prequel to the all-time classic movie The Wizard of Oz, which is based on the best-selling book of the same name. My wife is a Wicked superfan and has seen the Broadway show at least half a dozen times. Last fall was my first time seeing the show, and I really enjoyed it. I had no idea about the beats of the story, other than it's hearing the story of The Wizard of Oz from the Wicked Witch of the West perspective. In my head, I thought it was going to be like those twisted fairy tales that we read in grade school, like the true story of the Three Little Pigs from the wolf's perspective, or more recently, like the Netflix show Cobra Kai, which tells the story of the Karate Kid from the bad guy, Johnny Lawrence's perspective. Wicked is much more than that, though. It fleshes out the story of Oz, both the place and the wizard of the same name. It tells the story of Galinda, the Good Witch, and Elphaba, the Wicked Witch. By the way, Elphaba got her name from the author of the original story, L. Frank Baum, by taking the syllables of his first, middle, and last names, Elphaba. So many Broadway shows turned into movies fail, the latest being Cats, which got such horrible reviews, I never even got around to giving it a chance. And then my wife kind of groaned when she heard that a movie adaptation of her favorite Broadway show was in the works, and from what I've heard, that was kind of the consensus of the Wicked fan community. Why would you mess with perfection? Director John Cho had to show a lot of braverism to take on this project, but then reviews started coming out, and even diehard fans of the musical were saying that the movie met and exceeded all expectations. Wicked has morphed a lot over the past 20 years. The original book was dense and dramatic, so when it was adapted for the Broadway show, that dense text had to be deciphered and swankified into the family-friendly fun for all ages show that took Broadway by storm. In turning a 2.5-hour live show into nearly 5 hours of movie split into 2 installments seemed excessive, but after watching part 1 of the story, I can say it was definitely the right move. Wicked is beautiful. Every set piece is grand, and while there is definitely a lot of CGI, there are also a lot of huge real set pieces, which adds a much needed layer of realism to the story. I was particularly blown away by the library set with the round bookshelves that seemed to defy gravity. The costumes are just as epic as well. I can't think of a time in recent memory where I've been more wowed by sets and costumes. The university where the movie takes place is nothing like Hogwarts from Harry Potter, but that is what it reminded me of the most. And of course, the cast is full of wonderful performances, anchored by Ariana Grande as Galinda the Good Witch and Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba the Wicked Witch. Now, if you're a fan of the Broadway show, you already know the songs inside and out. Now, where I've only seen the live show once, only a couple of the songs were familiar to me, but I can tell you that the cast sung the heck out of them, and I don't think a single person will be disappointed in these versions of the songs. I think the thing that I was most struck by was how emotionally impactful the movie felt. The actors and actresses portrayed so much emotion, and we got to see close-ups that aren't possible when you're sitting in the nosebleeds of a live show. One scene, shortly after the hit song Popular is played, Elphaba is sitting in front of a mirror with a pink rose in her hair. You could see the look in her eyes that she was seeing herself with a newfound confidence that brought a little tear to my eye. Each dance number was bigger than the last, with dozens of extras adding so much to each scene. I can't wait to watch this again and focus on the background actors to see what I missed the first time through. Now, while there is definitely some fan service here, it wasn't as obvious and in your face as other movies that are based on existing intellectual property. Maybe because the intellectual property this is based on is 85 years old and so ingrained in our society, it wasn't really needed. We do get to see Munchkinland and the Emerald City and the Poppy Fields like we've never seen them before, and they were all breathtaking. And the climactic scene of Wicked was so thrillifying, it had to be my favorite climax of the year. The build-up of everything was paced so well, and even though I knew what was going to happen, it didn't make it any less exciting. The song sung during that scene is easily the most iconic from the Broadway show, and seeing everything come together was once again much more emotionally impactful than I was anticipating. It's amazing how fast 2 hours and 40 minutes flew by. There is so much more story in part 2 that wasn't even hinted at here that I think is going to blow a bunch of people away who aren't familiar with the stage show and the direction it takes. Wicked is a spectacle and a crowd pleaser, and it needs to be seen on a huge screen. Colorful fields of flowers, complementary colors pink and green. Large emerald steampunk trains, riding in a bubble, unique glasses, dirty wooden floors, yellow brick roads,